Well, hello everyone. I have right here of talking about camera raw right here, and you see right here that I have right here displayed right here is with this this it's called known for a screenshot too, but talking about for equipment and a lot of times if you're going to be using a camera roll to be able to edit photos, right? And the 102 that you plug in right here, where you have these options right here. You got color grading, and then also you got color mixer right here, and then you got right here details right here, and then adjustments on the shadow right here. But you can see this right here that any professionals might even say too that if you're going to be taking any photographs using a camera roll, that you're able to have multiple photographs open at the same time, right? So like if you're going to be working with one of them, but then if you zoomed in real closely right here at this image right here, you can see right here that that I'm able to zoom in real closely right here at this image right here and able to make adjustments. And so each time we do think about photographs, though, that you're 102, that, okay, yeah, if there's anything more that you can do with a photograph besides the fact about whenever you do take a picture of something that you go ahead and if you're trying to get it focused, and maybe if you want to go ahead and you do any other sorts of editing, but still, if we're talking about for plugins and extensions and anything else that you're going to be working with, right? And think as to where, okay, yeah, what exactly is camera raw? And so you have these tools right here. You got the healing brush right here, and then the red eye remover right here, and for red eye remover, and so you have these options. I'm like, yeah, these tools right here where you could you got the healing brush right here too, and then the cropping tool right here. So in case of anybody that want to know too, this, where if you're going to be editing your photographs, that besides that, if the photograph came out of focus, that you had this option right here where you can go ahead and crop the image to where that certain portions of the photograph are left out, that you mainly focus on what you want to keep captured inside the photograph. And like if there's any red eye, and like everybody might want to know too, especially if you're going to be taking the photographs of maybe during a reunion or something like that, or maybe at any sorts of get together, and you notice any red eye located in it, I'm like, yeah, in the photos, and there'll be a way of how to be able to remove the red eye photo, but still, that this right here shows right here of these photographs of the equipment right here. But you have right here, I'm like, yeah, talk about for color adjustments right here. So I'll go ahead and show everybody here that these are a few adjustments that I'm doing right here for the photograph right here, and you can see this right here that you can see that I'm able to change the highlights and also the shadow right here. Change the shadow a little bit, to kind of bring the shadow out. But really, that whenever you do change that, then you'll 102 that you're trying to verify what all this says right here, and so it's like, yeah, you check out the photographs right here in 102 that, yeah, can you really modify and render about what exactly you're trying to study the photograph and trying to capture any details that are in it, for on that photograph. And so it's like a lot of times the question kind of goes by is to where that what best options do you really have, but with camera raw, that maybe if you cannot really get for any other photo editor. And I'm like, well, really, that whenever you think about camera raw, a lot of times, that pretty much the same thing as a regular standard photo editor, or do you have more options with camera raw? And I would say, like everybody says, to where if you're going to be yeah, it all depends, right? But still, but with camera raw, that you have these options here where you can, the transforms, the manual transform, and then you got the effects right here, and then you had this option where you have the calibrate right here, and then also the color mixer and the curve and basics right here. So yeah, so you have these options right here, these editing options right here that you would have available using Camera Raw. But like it sure seems that way, that whenever you do look at Camera Raw though, that what you're like, one thing that we could probably understand too is that with Camera Raw that you would that's a plugin to where that if you're going to be using Camera Raw, you need to make sure that you have, like, yeah, if you have that ability to where you can go ahead and have access to that each time you take a photograph. Each time you take a photograph, that you wouldn't want to make sure that your camera is set to where you can go ahead and export it, like, yeah, import it, export it, into, open it up with, into Camera Raw, so that way you have the access to these editing options here. And like a lot of photographers would even say too that yeah, you take one photograph of something, and let's just say that if it comes out real dark, or maybe if anything it's not really focused properly, or you would like to know of some more tools and functionalities that you would have available for those, and want to know too that if Camera Raw would really be the best choice for that, or if like anything, if it'll be for Photoshop. But number one though, when we do think about Camera Raw though, is that whenever you do think about that color mixer right here, that we're not talking about that if you're going to be looking at a photograph like this right here, because there's really no reason to add a few, use a few of those tools, for an image like this. Talk about, for a lot of engineers who are going to be taking photographs of the pictures of the equipment or anything else that they're going to be working on for mechanical reasons or anything like that. You really, if you're going to be using, like, yeah, if anything, it'll be for the color balance, for the, just to be able to read what's on, I'm like, yeah, nameplate, if there's going to be a photograph taken about, understanding the machineries or anything like that, if you're trying to define, if you're trying to modify what's the details on that photograph right there. But on the other hand, that when we do talk about Camera Raw here, that you'll want to know too that, okay, yeah, that whenever you look at that right here, and want to know too that the changes that you're able to make with the image right here. So if you were to actually do any editing with this image, right, that they'll probably encourage you to where to please, without hurting the original, please show us that document from which you edited first, and then go ahead and show us the original. So like if you did have to edit a photograph for any reason at all, that you would be able to show that person, for what you were working with. Using Camera Raw, that I was able to adjust a few the features right here, making it a little bit lighter, making it darker, so that way we can read that right there for what it says right there. And but like a lot of professional photographers would say too, that if you're going to be using any photo editing software, for sure, that you would want to go ahead, if anything, I'm like, yeah, if you're going to use Camera Raw, but if anything, Photoshop. But still, it's like, whenever you do take a photograph, by the way, it's like, you want to go ahead and develop the photograph, but then if you want to do any editing, like if it came out real dark, or maybe out of focus, or you're not able to verify what was captured on that image right there, you would have these functionalities right here where you can adjust a lot of that. And so if we're talking about maintenance repairs or any reason at all, that if you want to use some of these functionalities, just to be able to make a picture lighter and darker right there, and then you'll be able to open up Camera Raw. And but one thing that I want to, showing everybody right here is the cropping tool. And so if I were to crop this image right here, we all know what cropping means, don't we? That means is toward that you're leaving out portions of the photograph. That if you don't want everybody to see all the details right there of the photograph. Like if you want to go ahead and like if you want to kind of call it, maybe shrink it down just a little bit, but still, to where you're trying to get it to fit on one image right here. Like, yeah, you have the cropping tool right here, and then you got the healing brush right here, and but still, it's like when we do think about camera raw a lot of times, that you might be thinking about is toward it, camera raw. To me, that sounds a little bit more like a software, plugin that you would use if you're trying to, camera raw, if you're trying to, apply different filters to a photograph. You would maybe not even think that there would be two different tools and functionalities, but like it sure seems that way, that each time you think about this, compared to this plugin, compared to the Lightroom Classic, you would maybe like to know too that, compared to 3 or 4 of those other software programs that you've used, what's about camera raw that makes it different than compared to Lightroom Classic, Photoshop Lightroom, and but like everybody says, well, really, it's a plugin. You don't really have it installed on your system. What you actually do is that you would install the software programs through Adobe. I'm like, you would. It's a plugin to where, like the third party, where you're, where in order to be able to open it up, that you would need to make sure that you go there, directly from a software program that you already have installed, right? It's like direct router, to where that if you want to do any further editing to a photograph, then you would have the ability to where you would have these software programs available. But if it's a plugin, that's another way of saying is to where that it's offered to you just because that you had that software program installed, and then that you're able to have more functionality just by going to that other program that's made available to you. But the way I think about it too, though, is that when we do think about photographs, a lot of times that we're talking about multiple photographs a lot of times, and you want to know too. Okay, that what are the best options for editing photographs, and I want to know too. Okay, that you have the photograph editing tools. But at the same time, you want to know too is toward, that if the program is installed and if you want to go ahead and edit the photograph for any reason at all, that you want to go ahead and leave some portions of the photograph out, and maybe if you want to go ahead and do some repairs, like if you want to, like if there was a photograph that came out real dark or real light, you have the adjustments, your tools right here, But the way I think about it, talk about for introducing to camera,